Hello and welcome to the second installment of Unsourced Wall's Summer of Stargate. And yeah, we're going to get into a couple more things. Now all the setup is done, we can just head on straight into the actual look through at the figures I want to talk about this week. There's a couple more in here, like there's a lot in here, they're very small figures, but we're going to be taking a look at two more. And let's see which ones those are. I think we're going to have real fun this week. So, this week we're looking at these two figures, the first of which is Lieutenant Kowalski, played by actor John Deal in the movie. And let's just do the comparison of the facial sculpt right now. Here's what the face looks like on the figure, and now we're going to be looking at the side-by-side comparison of the actual actor from a screenshot from the film and the cover box art. And you can tell that this is where they stopped really caring a bit. Like, it's not as good of a likeness recapturing as, say, O'Neill or Jackson was. But you know what? Put the cap on and you can hardly tell. And also, I have to say, this sort of helmet is probably the best headpiece accessory we've had so far. It's not as bulky or out of place as Jackson's baseball cap was. And it's also not as flimsy as O'Neill's beret. In fact, I don't know if you can tell this, but probably can't. There's actually some slight discoloration at the brow ridge of Kowalski's headpiece because this thing is such a snug fit that over the years probably just protected it from the elements. So that's nice. That's actually a really nice fit and well proportioned. So let's take a look at just him in general and also what I believe are his accessories. So, much like the other figures, he has your base articulation, both arms, both legs, and the head, which, goes along quite nicely. It's a bit bulkier there too. I don't think he can stand up pretty straight. Now we're on a slanted, uneven surface here, but seems to hold his own. So, okay, let's move on to this grab bag of goodies here. Now, in terms of his accessories, we already looked at the helmet. The main major piece for the figure sculpt itself is this artillery backpack. Because I think that's his designation, like an artillery specialist, which is why he gets all this decked out vest, which, as you probably saw in the screenshot, he does not have in the movie. I don't think he even has a proper designation like that in the movie. But let's put the backpack on. It's a snug fit. And again, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Let's see if we can stand up. It makes him a little bit back heavy. I think if you angled him just right, you wouldn't have much of a problem. But yeah, back heavy. Next up, we have this insane main weapon, which is like this bazooka rifle thing again. I'm going to try and actually get it into his hand, because this has one of the weirdest kind of systems to get his hand in. Is like this tiny peg, but it's also like completely straight line peg, and much like the other figures, we have this thing where the hands are like at an angle, so I have no fucking clue how this is meant to be. I don't think he can do it. I honestly don't. I mean, at the very least, yeah. I'm going to cut back and see if I've been able to do it, because doing this on camera is going to be really tricky. Alright, success-ish. I was not able to get on this hand. Like, you can see some scuff-up marks from my attempts to do so, but it was just at too much of an angle. I was able to get it on his left hand, mainly because it's a little bit more straightforward angled, and well, you can see it's a loose fit. Like, this is more loose than I would be comfortable with, but thankfully, by this point in the toy line, I realized that their figures can't actually hold these fucking guns. So you can see it comes with this little gauntlet piece that helps keep everything in place. So that's nice. See? You can rock back and forth, and it stays, in position. You also get two other missiles, like the other figures do. That's a lot of force to get that in. That's pretty weird. Let's see where the button is, because like all the other ones, it's kind of hidden. Is it this? Is it this? Oh, that's it. That's it. Okay, this is actually pretty fun. The trigger for the button is the handle itself. You can see that it has a little indentation there, little hollow space. How do you get that to function? Do I just... Okay, yeah, no, the spring I think is a little bit broken. But the thing is that you meant to like Yeah, the spring is definitely broken. But you can tell that's the intention here, to get the figure to actually press on the trigger. Like, that's nice. If the spring wasn't broken, that'd be really, really nice. Yeah, you can see. Let me see if I can get a close up of that. So when I press on the trigger using the figure's hand, it just jumps out a tiny bit. Yeah, that's a little disappointing. I can't even get the missile out anymore. It's like this forever. I mean, the other ones had working guns. I mean, it's nice. I'm not like I was ever going to use these for that, but it would have been cool to show the missile launch. If I get another version of this gun like on eBay for really cheap and see if that one works, then that'd be fine. But as for now, that's as much as I can show you. He comes with a secondary gun, which is this kind of rifle thing. I think that's the one that's meant to be in the right hand, and it fits snugly there. Look, hey, it looks the best out of any other of the solid, non-gimmicky weapons. Like, it fits nicely. It's got a bit of a wedge grip there, but hey, he doesn't look like a total moron holding it. Let's see if he can hold it in his left hand. Actually, not really. It's like an even... yeah, he can do it. He can do it. But I think this hand is actually meant to be for the gimmick weapon hand. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think the only thing he has left is his artifact piece, which, like I said, were just random things from the movie. So what you have here is the sort of Jeep ATV kind of cart that they didn't have in the movie. So I'm wondering, like, what the hell this even is for. It doesn't have working wheels, and it's just a solid plastic piece. This is actually meant to be for another version of this thing that was in the main toy line, like a vehicle that they were selling. So this is not even an artifact that's meant to be a part of the movie. It's meant to be a part of the toy line exclusively to advertise an exclusive part of the toy line. And that's ridiculous. Like, it just shows how the artifacts were just a hodgepodge of an idea that never really coalesced. But yeah, so let's get Kowalski all kitted out and see if he can stand up. So he can't stand up. The weapons are too front heavy. The only way to get them look okay is if you point them straight out, and yeah, he'll just topple over. But honestly, outside of the non-functioning bazooka cannon, he's probably like the best figure we've seen so far. So this is a pretty good week. Like, the weapons fit. There's actual sort of like design input on how they work. The proportions are nice. Everything's good on this one, except for this ridiculous artifact piece. But yeah, Kowalski, you get a 10 out of 10, relatively. Now let's move on to our next one. Next up, we have the Anubis Guard, who was played in the movie by Carlos Lauchu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And honestly, this is one of the most interesting sculpts so far, because they actually went above and beyond to get the helm to look like it did in the movie, for the most part. Like, you'll see what I mean. So let's do this in a weird way. We're going to do the helm first. So here's going to be a screenshot of what the helm looked like in the movie and what it looked like on the cover art. But I don't think you really need the cover box art this time, because, well, if we switch back to the figure for a second, like, this looks really, really accurate. Of course, in the movie, you didn't see the eye slits. Like, that wasn't a thing. It was completely covered up. But yeah, no, this looks like the movie did, like, an insane amount. It's great. And because it's like not like a form-fitting thing, you can see right there, you even get some wobbleness. Like, it wobbles around. You can get like the head to look its own way, independent of where the eye slits are. That's actually really nice. But yeah, now we can take that off. It's just like a friction fit. Like, it just kind of suction cups over the rest of the figure. Let's look at the sculpt itself. And it's a pretty indistinct, generic face, but no disrespect to Carlos Lauchu. Let's look at another screenshot side by side when he was unmasked in the movie. Yeah, no, it doesn't quite do him justice, but it's also not like he was accentuated in his features in that movie, to say the least. But yeah, no, so far we're firing on all cylinders. Even like the Egyptian skirt outfit is really nice. Like, this is an interesting sculpt. I think it plays off really well. So let's put on his helm again, and let's get the head oriented right. I think that's the only thing keeping it sliding back in. There we go. And let's look at his accessories. which I believe these are. All right, so Anubis's main weapon is this weird pyramid designed cannon weapon. I don't know. I feel like at least this one has some kind of design aesthetic that ties with Stargate because it's like a pyramid weapon. But it's still this really insanely goofy looking thing that had nothing to do with the movie. So going by Kowalski's tact, let's try and put it in his left arm first. And it's a nice fit. You know, seems like it does the job. Let's see if these things will be effective. I think that's the way it goes. All right. So here we got the handle and little system function there. Ooh. I have no idea where that went. That shot out like a rocket. Let's try the second one. Awesome. All right. So yeah. Kowalski's might have disappointed, but this is maybe my favorite weapon so far. It looks like it should belong in Stargate somewhat, and that is the most powerful spring that any of these have had. Yeah, no, 10 out of 10 for that weapon. So I'm in the middle of editing everything right now, and way later after I recorded, and I just realized something. This is Ra's ship. That's why it looks so familiar, and why it looks so much like Stargate should look like. It's the exact same design, except obviously Ra's ship doesn't have the handles or anything like that. And I think it's hilarious. They shrunk it down to be a weapon, to be a handheld weapon, when it's this gigantic mothership. And that's incredible. So we're going to be switching over to a screenshot from the movie, showcasing what it looks like. And see, it has the same kind of ridges, same basic shape, and everything. Just doesn't have any of the, you know, handheld stuff or the tubing or the wheels that the weapon has. And I think it's hilarious that the weapon the toy came with has the strongest spring out of any of the weapons we've seen so far. When Ra's ship in the movie has this giant kind of beam and nuke attack thing. So that makes sense. Like, that correlates. And I just need to rectify that mistake before I finish editing up. But, you know, carry on. Now, his secondary weapon isn't actually a weapon. It's actually his real weapon from the movie, which is this laser staff thing. Let's put it in his other arm. Like a little thing where he kind of zaps and shoots kind of laser pulses and beams. It's not bad design or anything like that. Yeah. It doesn't have the most solid grip on it, but you do get this little ledge right here where it kind of balances on his hand. And he looks all right holding it. That's nice. Now, his artifact piece is this Death Glider. That's what they call it in the SG-1 show. Other toys in his toy line have called it a Wing Glider, but Death Glider just sounds cooler. Now, this is something from the movie, so it's not like this ridiculous piece of shit. And looks nice. So yeah, kudos to this. Yeah. Anubis looks great. Kowalski is functional, at least, in terms of like actually being a fun-looking toy that might work. Let's look at them side by side. Honestly, I love these two. I think that they make the toy line seem like it had a lot of potential. I mean, O'Neill and Jackson had a little bit of a thing where they just seemed like they were like plug and play old, used up toys from a different brand that they just kind of stapled the Stargate brand on. But like Anubis is unmistakably Stargate, and Kowalski might be a little bit like that in terms of just being a generic figure, but at least a generic figure that feels like you could actually play with it. So overall, this week for both of these, I'm gonna have to give them both 2 thumbs up. They're great. I love them a lot, and I can't wait to get through like the next couple of figures because we have 4 weeks to go in Summer of Stargate. So thank you so much for listening. Have a great one, and see you again next time. Enjoy the little still shots coming up next.